Hello, everybody. Welcome along to your Monday night edition of the Rangers Rabble Podcast. I normally start these off by saying I hope you're all well, but I very much doubt that's the case tonight. We're obviously going to be discussing in depth again the League Cup final from yesterday. There's out with that. There's not a great deal of Rangers news out there, but I'm pretty sure that there's enough to dissect in amongst that to keep us going for at least the hour anyway. So hello, welcome. Tonight I'm joined by Wilf, Mark and Kerr. Guys, how are we? Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you the truth and get you put off air, or do you want me just to say yeah, fine?
Just say yeah, fine.
Yeah, fine.
Fine. Could be better, but fine.
Yeah, could be much better. Should have been much better. Right, okay. Let's get into this. This is one of the few nights that I've not wanted to be on my own podcast. I was actually sitting an hour ago going, can I make up a story and get somebody else to host this? And then I was thinking, do you know what? It might be a bit of therapy. And then we spoke for 5 minutes before we started, and I just got angry. So yeah, I wish somebody else was hosting the night. Kerr, that game yesterday.
Yes, Martin.
I know you were at it.
Yeah.
The only question I've got right now in my head, because my mind's just went blank, and it's the question it was asked 1,000 times in the build-up show yesterday before we started. It was asked after the game. I woke my missus up at 3 a.m. to ask her the same question. What the hell was Beale thinking in his starting lineup?
Oh, Michael Beale knows that, Martin. I think, obviously, he's a manager. He's got decisions to make, big decisions. We're all fans that just go every week, so we've got an opinion, but he's a man that gets paid to do this job, and obviously he's waiting for his players he's trusted more than he's waiting for anybody else. Managers do that all through the world of football. They go for the guys they trust, or they go for the experience. He done that yesterday, and it backfired. I mean, I could sit here for the next 60 minutes and rant because I'm doing it all day, but I'll let other guys have a chance, because I think Wolf could maybe beat my 60 minutes. I was disappointed when we started, disappointed in the team, but what pissed me off the most was no changes at half-time, because we were still in it, but not changing it at half-time. He never reacted until it was far too late, and that's what really annoys me for yesterday. It was the manner defeat. No, because we got beat, because you can't win every game, and even if you can't expect just to go and win, you have to go and show you what you won. And the players never done it, and the manager never done it. But the manager let us down. He let the fans down. He let the players down. He let himself down. But I agreed with you with the pod yesterday when I was coming back for the game. I was saying in the car, I had a lot of faith in Michael Beale, right? I don't know if it was just because he'd been here before, or because Gio left the way Gio left. We thought, this is a new guy coming in. Not a new guy, but we knew he was. We thought he was Steven Gerrard's main guy. He's going to come and prove tactical master, whatever. But yesterday, really, I agreed with you. Red flag started to appear with Michael Beale. I'm thinking, is he get the balls to do this? Because this was yesterday, he could put a marker down, and he never. And it's backfired tremendously on him. And I've seen people saying he gets a free hit. No free hit at Rangers. If you're not man enough to take his job and come in and put a marker down straight away, then don't be here. You can blame the players, but at the end of the day, the buck stops the manager.
The buck stops with the manager, Wilf, right? And look, there's nobody here. There's nobody on this panel. I wouldn't imagine there's nobody in the comments turning around and saying sack Beale, because that's just ridiculous, right? He's come in, he's working with a group of players that are, and I hate to say this because I know this is going to get clipped and put on social media somewhere, but we have to face facts. He's working with a group of players who are majority serial losers, who threw Gio under the bus, who have constantly let us down in big moments. So that's the group of players that Beale has to work with, right? He's done a very good job since he came through the door. This is his first loss. This is his first hiccup. But just looking at every detail from yesterday, the manager got it not just wrong, badly wrong.
He got it spectacularly wrong. I mean, he was big in the January transfer window. He came in and said he was only interested in signing players to start. He said, I want to sign starting players. Not interested in loan players or squad players or project players or whatever. I want to sign players to start. And he only brought in 2 players. And we all accepted that because they looked like 2 really good players, 2 decent players that he brought in. He brought them in to start. He brought them in to start them in big games, then didn't start them in the biggest game he's had. When we needed legs in midfield. Now, we haven't seen a lot of Raskin, but Raskin's got legs in midfield. He's got energy. He seems to be like a wee Duracell bunny running about in there. Proved that when he came off the bench after 60-odd minutes when the game was away. The game was gone. So why did he not start him? And as Kerr says, what's more criminal than that? I see what he tried to do in the first half. He tried to contain them and it didn't work. When I turned to my daughter 3 minutes from half time, he said, we'll be lucky to go in here 0-0. Looked up again and they scored. Because it was coming. I mean, the goal was coming. It was this wave after wave of Celtic attack towards half time. And that's what they do. They always try and go in with a half time lead. How many times did they score in the between 41 and 45 minutes? All the time they do it if the game's 0-0. They score towards half time all the time. And it was coming. And for manager to look at that and not make any changes at half time, it's just, I don't know what game he was watching. I mean, I'd like to think that getting towards half time, even at 0-0, he was thinking, right, okay, we've contained them, we've done what we set out to do, let's go and win the game now. Surely at 1-0 down, he should be even more making the changes, saying, right, let's go and win this game now. And then when he did go make a substitution, Celtic made substitutions first. Their subs came on before us did. I mean, they were standing on the touchline for they were standing ready to come on from 2-0, and they came on just after we pulled the goal back. What took him so long to make the substitutions? And then when we're chasing a goal with the last 10 minutes of the game or whatever, he takes Morelos off. I mean, you're chasing a goal in a cup final, you're as well going for it getting beat 3 and 4-1. Try to get back into the game, take it extra time. You know what I mean? He made like-for-like substitutions when he changed the entire midfield, which for me was him admitting he got it wrong. And it took him over an hour to decide that. Then he made like-for-like substitution when he took off Sakala and put on Wright. And then he made a like-for-like substitution when he took off Morelos and put on Čolak. He didn't actually try and change anything. He changed the personnel, didn't change the shape of the team. And it clearly wasn't working. And it was the same players, as you say, Martin, serial losers, the same players making the same mistakes over and over and over again in these big games. They shit the bed in big games all the time. I mean, 7 of that starting lineup got beaten in the 2019 League Cup final. When granted we played really well and were beat by an offside goal, but they lost it. They've lost finals since. They've lost finals under Gerrard. They lost finals under Van Bronckhorst. They've now lost a final under Beale. But they keep picking the same players. They keep putting trust in the same players. The thing that baffles me is why he didn't start his 2 new signings. Or at least one of his 2 new signings. And for Ryan Jack to be sitting on the bench when they've got Callum McGregor strutting and the boy Aaron Moy strutting about the midfield like they owned the fucking place. You know what I mean?
That's because they did own it. They did own the pitch.
But so Ryan Jack just goes on there and fucking hits them early. I said on my way down the road in the car, look, if Ryan Jack's fit enough to be on the bench, he has to start the game. And everywhere Callum McGregor goes, he goes. Because everything they do goes through him. And that closes their game down. That shuts their game down. If Callum McGregor decides after 20 minutes he needs to go for a shit, Ryan Jack should be going with him. But no, Jack was sitting on the bench. And then towards the end, when we're chasing a goal, he goes like for like and takes off Sakala, puts on Scott Wright. Scott Wright's unlikely to score you a goal. The way that game was going. Bring on Scott Arfield. What have you got to lose? The cup's away anyway. What have you got to lose? Some of the decisions were absolutely baffling. But all it proves to me is we need an absolutely massive clear out in the summer.
Yes.
Because the players they're becoming serial losers. You know what I mean? As I say, 7 of them started in 2019. So they've been here at least 3.5 seasons. And they've won 2 trophies. That's not good enough.
Not good enough.
That's maybe good enough if you're at Hearts. Or if you're at St Mirren, or if you're at Hibs. It's not good enough for Rangers. Absolutely not good enough for Rangers. I mean, as somebody pointed out in the comments just when we came live, right? If Celtic go on and win this treble, which they've got every possibility of doing, they'll be 1 trophy behind us. We were miles ahead of them not that many years ago.
There's different reasons for that.
Of course there is. Of course there is. But since we can back up, we can back up 7 years ago. Well, okay, the first 3 years we were rebuilding to get back to where we should be. But we've had, using 2019 as the benchmark, right? We've had that's three and a half seasons. We've lost 4 cup finals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've lost 3 cup finals. So we can't count the Scottish Cup in that. We've lost these players have lost 3 cup finals. They've won one league title. You're supposed to fix your roof when the sun's shining. Mm. We won a league 18 months ago, and didn't rebuild the team. Didn't strengthen what we had. Sat back and watched them bring in half of the Far East, and it's working for them. You know what I mean? It's just.
It is. Channel member Aaron, with a super chat, thank you, Aaron. Squad's an embarrassment. How many would you keep? Will somebody remind me of that question in about 15-20 minutes, because we're going to come back to that and we're going to discuss the individual players, etc. Mark, I'll let you come in. I don't even have a question for you. I'm just going to let you say what you want to say.
Oh, where did I start? I was actually all right until I bumped into you three the night. I really was. And now you've got me thinking about it. As soon as I seen it, I was pretty confident. I think the show before it I was on, I was pretty confident. A wee bit of rallying cry. I predicted my team line. Thought to myself, that team that I predicted, I thought, do you know what? We're in with a right good shout at gaining my fright. I thought to myself, we're progressing, albeit slowly, but we're progressing from where we were at the start of the season. Our form was terrible at the start of the season. The players that were playing in that team were awful. They were very lackadaisical. There was no legs in it. Nobody had any sort of a get up and go. Nobody wanted to take the game by the scruff of the neck. Everybody was hiding. Nobody was brave in the squad. And we started to believe in ourselves a wee bit. We brought in 2 players that for me looked as if we had legs in the middle of the park. Things were looking up. Things were brighter. And what do? We play the exact same team that's been awful. It's been lackadaisical. It's been slow. It's been ponderous. The players that were out of form and have been out of form all season, we put them back in the middle of the park. I think you said it before we come on, Martin, that these players have they're just not good enough. I hate to say that serial losers, because that hurts me to the core. That serial losers, because it's my team. But these players should have been moved on. I think that I said to my mate prior to the game, when the team sheets come out, I said to him, look, I'm no happy with this team. I think everybody that took a deep in-breath when we seen the team sheet going, what are we thinking here? And I tried to flower it up. I said to my mate, I says, look, these players owe us a performance. These players that have been out of form have started to pick themselves up a wee bit. Me trying to look at the positive side, half full type of guy, thinking this would be the team talk. Use all these fans a performance. Use all these fans something, because you have not performed this whole season. Get out there, get into them, show them that you are the players that they think you are. But that's not what happened. We get the exact same performance as we've had the first half of the season, probably 3/4 of the season. The exact same performance for the exact same players. And I think somebody said it last night or yesterday in the pod. The definition of madness is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. Why did we do it? I've no idea why we done it. As I said, my heart sank when I seen the team sheet. And it's no because they're bad players. it's because they're that far off it and that far out of form that I knew straight away that that's how our midfield was going to look and how our midfield was going to play. I knew for the team sheet. I didn't need to. So the first
Everyone
half,
did. Everybody did.
rather than being up for it the first half, I'm back to reverting to type, and I'm watching it from behind a sofa.
Mhm.
I'm thinking this is just like watching Gio's team. No, Beale has got it massively wrong, and I think Beale's maybe today sat down and watched this again and thought, "Wow, I've made a rip roaring James Hunt of this." For me, the only way for you to fix this is to drop Kamara. Kamara is not interested. Kamara, I've not been interested all season. Aribo went, Bassey went, chucked it as far as I'm concerned. We know he's a good player, there's a player in there, but do you know what? See, for the last 18 months, he's not deserved a jersey. He's not deserved to play for this team. So simple as that. For me, unless Kamara shows all sorts of
Kamara's
improvement, and yeah, he's not kicking another ball for me, as far as I'm concerned, for the rest of the season. Lundstram, I've defended him over and over again on here. And you can't, how do you defend the indefensible? You can't. So for me, same again, Lundstram does not kick another ball until he proves in training that he can pick himself up and he can prove that he deserves a jersey. Because, I mean, the whole team, you could go through just about the whole team. Couple probably get pass marks, and I'm sure we'll move on to that. But the whole team, you could drop that whole team for the next game. I'm that badly but hurting that I couldn't even tell you who we're playing next. I was scared to even look.
Do you know? I'm pretty sure it's Kamara.
It's Kamara.
So
Kamara, yeah, it's Kamara. And right now, Mark, I'm sitting here and I genuinely could not give a toss about that game.
Likewise. It's no, and I try to see the bigger picture and I try to look on the bright side, but just cannot get my head around why it resorted back to that team that's been so poor at the start of the season and the players that have been so out of form. I don't know. Did they think that he's something different for Gio, that he could get these especially the two in midfield, he can get a tune at them?
Do you know what, Kerr? That's the red flag for me. The red flag for me wasn't the fact that he started them, right? Because I sat back and I went, and I think I said what we all said, no, that's it, game's done before it's kicked off. But then I started thinking, right, well, maybe Beale knows something that we don't. Maybe there's going to be some tactical masterclass here where he's figured out a way to play with these specific individual players and it's going to work, right? So you always give the manager the benefit of the doubt. 2 minutes into the game, I went, oh no, there's no tactical masterclass here. This is what we've seen before. If he doesn't change it, we're going to get beat. Why does it take him 65? I was going to swear. Why does it take him 65 minutes, Kerr, to change it?
Because he was ball deep in trouble, Martin. We were 2-0 down. He had nothing else to do. He had to change it. He had to react. And that was the problem. He reacted. He didn't change it because he wanted to. He changed it because he had to. And that was the issue with Michael Beale yesterday. He sat, like Wolf said, Celtic made changes first. He sat and watched that for 60 minutes before he said...
Celtic did make changes first, but do you know what? We were getting ready to make them first. Ange looked up and went, all right, they're bringing them on. I'm going to change it. And they players were on the park first. How's that possible? Okay. If I just froze, Kerr, I'll take that to you, Wolf.
It shouldn't be possible, but unfortunately, it's not anything new with Rangers. We're fucking really sorry. I did swear, sorry. We're really slow at making substitutions all the time. It's happened before that we've been ready to make subs, and all of a sudden, it doesn't happen when it's supposed to, and another goal goes in, or so the other team makes substitutions. It happened under Gio a couple of times. I don't know what it is we do, but the mystifying thing is, we said earlier, we've all said it. Mystifying thing is, he sat and watched that first half and didn't make any changes at halftime. Absolutely incredible. I mean, it clearly wasn't working very, very early, and managers don't like to make changes early. You know, I mean, I remember Dick Advocaat making substitutions, taking Fernando Rickson off after 22 minutes in an Old Firm game because it wasn't working for him. You've got to be ruthless sometimes.
Have
and that's
some
him
balls.
admitting he's made a mistake.
Have some balls.
Aye. Yeah, Michael Beale had to admit he'd made a mistake. Lundstram clearly wasn't fit, right? After
Tillman
5 minutes, you can see Lundstram clearly. Tillman wasn't fit either. But as I said before we came on, of the substitutions I would have made at half time, I left Tillman on because he's likely to do you something. He's got the ability to do something even if he's only half fit. Lundstram's offering you absolutely nothing. And Kamara's offering you less than absolutely nothing. And he's supposedly fully fit. How he can stand back and watch that and not make any changes. And as Kerr rightly says, he was reactive, not proactive in the substitutions. He made them because he had to, not because he wanted to. You know, it's just, it mystifies me. Absolutely. I mean, had we lost that 4 or 5-1, it wouldn't have flattered Celtic the way the game was going towards the end.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were that poor. We were so poor. And we could all see it from the start, from the lineups. We could see it that he was trying to sit. You can't sit against a Celtic team like that, especially with no legs in midfield. I mean, absolutely no legs in the middle of that park. And it's just, I don't know. I'm getting angry at and angry. So speak to Mark. He's more composed than me.
No, I'm going to go back to Kerr because I think my anger froze him out.
My internet's performing like the Angels yesterday.
Just before Curry Muncher thought this was a members only. No. Monday night, Friday night reactions, not members. That's for everybody. Come on, Curry, you know that. That's a silly comment. Sorry, Kerr. If you can remember the question, I'll let you come back.
Run it by my game, Martin.
I can't remember.
Do
you know what? Actually, do you know what? Yeah.
Do
you know what? We'll move on for the manager, right? Because that's 22 minutes. Let's actually, yes, the manager deserves the majority of the blame for the team selection that we all knew was wrong, right? And like I say, I play Football Manager for like 5 or 6 games, and I'm bottom of the league, and I reset it, right? So my tactical knowledge, my football knowledge, compared to our managers, is zero, right? Mick Beale's a smart guy. He's a football man, and he's very, very, very intelligent when it comes to tactics. So
but is he, Martin?
He is, and that's
but
that's what worries me,
Kev. Been a manager.
No, but that's what worries me.
Number 2 and a coach. He's never been a manager. This is a step up for him, and this is where he could struggle. And are we brave enough to let him be kind of like a rookie here and struggling at a club like Rangers? We all wanted the manager to
come in as a rookie.
It was different circumstances. That was a different time. The board won't let that go because where we were coming from. This is 3-4 years down the line, and we're still trying to catch up here. We're still trying to get a team who are going to compete and win stuff. We've won 2 trophies, like the Union Bears said in that banner a few weeks ago, and all this time. And the last 3 managers we've had there been Gerrard, no experience, Gio, very little, to be honest with you. He was a bit stint in Holland, but even the final fans weren't happy with him when he left. He went to China. And then Michael Beale had a couple of weeks at QPR and came to us. So is he tactical enough? It's great being a coach. It's great being number 2. You get the bit of the vibe of the players. You're their pal. But being the top man's totally different. And you can't be everybody's pal. You've got to make decisions and really be brave enough to make your decisions. Because on yesterday's performance, it wasn't. I mean, you've signed 2 players who you think are going to make a difference. You're going to build your team about. But then you don't play them because they've only been here a couple of weeks. This is a big game, Celtic. That's bollocks. That's totally bollocks. These 2 guys...
That's a mentality thing for me, though.
These 2 guys are brave enough, good enough to come into that game, no matter who it is. Raskin's a professional football player. Campbell's played in England. He's played in big games against Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool. He knows what it's like to come up in the Scottish League Cup final and play in Celtic. That wouldn't bother they to. Wouldn't have phased them. Ryan Jack started yesterday, it wouldn't have phased him. But to go with his experienced players, with his guys like Lundstram and Kamara, and he only went with them because he trusts them. And he's managed them before, he's coached them before, and he went, I'm going with these guys. To mention a Hearts game is nonsense. You can't compare a Hearts game to a cup final against Celtic. You can't. And then to mention that They done well against Celtic in the game at Ibrox. They did to a point, but he had to change it for it to work. And then we just threw it away at the end. He's trying to cover his mistakes straight away here. And to me, that's not the way it should be. You should set a marker yesterday. Started with the two boys. Like Will says, started with Ryan Jack and went for it. Don't contain Celtic. You contain Celtic. Every team tries it, so know how to play against it. Why should we go into a cup final to contain an opposition? Why should we do that? We're better with the ball at our feet. We're better with my pass, when we're moving or running. We can't stand. We're not getting players. Yesterday, Ryan counted the ball 3 times. He ran from left to right. Looked up. Not one player was running by him. French just shot and twice went over the stadium. Not even the stand, over the stadium. And he's thinking, nobody's running here. Tolman isn't match fit. Lundstram is fucking pulling a caravan, I think, and Kamara was interested. You've got so much a gap between defence and midfield, and then midfield and attack. There was so much space for Celtic to play. So much space. The Celtic players must have been like that. God sake, we've had other games in training. This is so easy. And we're just watching them. You can blame the defence. You can blame the captain. We'll probably go into him next. But to me, the buck still stops the manager. But some of these players can't be here come summer. Can't be here come the summer.
Listen, you're 100% right. The buck stops for the manager. And just on this point, was there one Rangers fan that would have played Lundstram and Kamara yesterday? How can we see it and Beale can't? And that's the point I'm making, Mark. I still fully believe that Beale is an exceptionally good coach. Maybe he might not go on to be a good manager, but he might, right? So for me, this wasn't about intelligence or tactical ability yesterday. This was about nerve and bottle and balls. And that's the red flag for me, that Beale's shown that he'd rather go defensive than try and go toe-to-toe or even attempt to attack them. And if that's the way that he wants to carry on, if that's the way that he wants to go forward, he will not be at Rangers long.
Yeah, I mean, to play a wee bit of devil's advocate, you can't really make a Skoda into a Ferrari. You know, these guys are the same guys that were rotten at the start of the season.
Volkswagen owns Skoda, right?
Would you? I tell you, I'll sit a Ferrari next to the Skoda. And what one you want?
Take the Skoda because it's more reliable.
Your arse. Geese piece.
Cost them less than fuel.
But my point being is that
it never wins a race.
I know we're going to batter into Beale and this and that, but for me as well, as I said, to play devil's advocate a wee bit, these players aren't good enough.
No, they're not.
And it's no like all of a sudden it's a new thing. It is that we all of a sudden we thought that they were good enough. They've proved at the start of the season and all season long, a lot of these players have not been good enough. They've not been fighting for a jersey. They don't look interested. And I think that probably that love affair with the club's maybe tarnished and is gone. And I think that we need to move them on. No. We're all hurting. We're all raging. We're all looking for somebody to blame. This isn't saying no. We knew that these players weren't good enough. I know that we've had a wee uplift. Beale's come in and he started. We've seen a wee bit of progress and stuff like that. And I for one, have mentioned that we're seeing slow and steady progress. And we're a better team than we were under Gio, but not much. But as I said, it's the same dross that was there with Gio. As I said, it's that whole chestnut. You can't polish a turd, but you can roll it in glitter. So we've been a wee bit starry-eyed because Beale's come in and gave us a lift. It's nothing new to us. We know that this team, or a lot of this team, have not got the backbone or the fight. As I said, and we really shouldn't be surprised that we've went to a cup final against our bitter rivals, and they've not been good enough. They've not enough heart. They've not enough fight. Nobody's been brave enough. This isn't new to us. Do you know what I mean? So I know that Beale's getting in the neck as well, which rightly so, 100% rightly so. But as I said, Skoda, Ferrari, you can't do it. You can't turn a Skoda into a Ferrari. It's as simple as that.
Mark, we had two Ferraris sitting on the bench that he refused to use for 65
100%. No, with the
So
equivalent of an
that's-
extra alloy wheels that you could have stuck on your Skoda.
Aye, right. And then he refused to use them. He refused to use them, and that was the big issue.
Yeah,
Well,
100%, and I totally agree with you. And I think our problem is that we've reverted back to these players because when he was here at first, these players were doing it. They were doing the business, and all of a sudden they've not been. But it's not all of a sudden they've not been doing it for 18 months. So as I said, it's not anything new to us.
big shout out to
They're
the
just
back.
not good enough. The clear out needs to happen, and I think that for here to the summer, and then the summer's going to be massive for us. But we need to try and sort, as I said to earlier, these players need to be dropped, and unless they show something absolutely immense in training, then you bring them back in and they get a chance. But see, for the next 5, 6 games, 7 games, we need to try something different.
Yeah, we do.
Because we're flogging a dead horse and it's not working. So rather than waste our time in players that the likes of Kamara, punt them. So we're going to punt him and even Lundstram, punt him. If we're going to punt him in the summer, don't waste our time trying to integrate them into a team. Even if we use youth, let's face it, we're not going to win a league here.
A fine thing at Rangers.
We're not going to
using
win a
you.
league here. We've lost a cup final. We've got one crack to stop them doing a treble. So for me, let's do something positive. Let's don't go. Do you know what, Lundstram? We'll drop him for a game and we'll bring him back, and then we'll drop Kamara for a game and bring him back. If they're not going to be in our plans, which I don't think they want to be in our plans, especially Kamara. To me, Kent was honking as well.
Oh, what's a man doing?
Morelos passed Marks just by the skin of his teeth. Don't think he done much in the game. He's away in the summer. Punt him. Get shot him. Play Cholak. Try and move into a system that Cholak's going to be a striker. Something needs to give. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome.
That was another mental thing. Sorry, Wolf, hold on. That was another. You bring off Morelos and bring on Cholak when you know that Cholak isn't going to see the ball. Bring on Cholak alongside Morelos and see if that partnership might work. Aldo, Beale shat it. We're not playing the two new boys. There's no other excuse for it. There's no other reason for it. For me personally, I don't buy the excuse that he wanted to go with experience or he wanted to go with the players that he trusted. He wanted to go defensive. So, and wanting to go defensive and wanting to contain them, that just translates into a shatter. For me, Aaron, again, Kamara and Lundstram need to go. They are shocking. And I think we all completely agree with that. For me, I've been a big defender of Lundstram. I've been a big supporter of Lundstram in the past. We all remember the nights at Dortmund when he scored that cracking goal. And he's went through a few phases in his Rangers career where he's probably been one of the best performing players in the team. Not for long, but for little spells. But for me now, that's gone. I'm done with him. I'm done with Kamara. I'm done with Borna. I'm done with Alfie. I'm done with Kent. I'm done with Sakala. I'm done with a lot of them. I'm absolutely done with a lot of them. Sorry, Wolf.
Just say you back his time, Martin. It's easier.
Sorry, Martin.
Raskin and Cantwell.
Going back to what Mark was saying, right? And I agree 100% with almost everything that he said, right? And we do need to get rid of all these players. And I had a heated discussion, shall we say, with one of my mates in the car on the way up the road last night about getting these players out. It's all very well saying we need to get rid of these guys. These guys are under contract, right? We have to first of all find a buyer, and secondly find a buyer that they're willing to go to. It's all very well saying, okay, we'll sell Kamara, and somebody can come in and say, right, we'll give you £5 million for Kamara. We go, right, that'll do, because it costs us 50 grand. That'll do. He goes, I'm not fucking going. I don't want to go there. I'm quite happy to stay here. See out my contract. That's the problem that we've got.
Yeah.
And that's a huge job for Kerr's pal, Mr. Wilson, to sort out. You know, he's beating you, Kerry. He's beating you. He has got a massive job on his hands. An absolutely massive job on his hands this summer. And I don't think he's up for it, to be perfectly honest. But he needs to be back with the board as well. I mean, there's comments earlier that the board got comfortable after we won the title 2 years ago. I mean, nearly 2 years ago we won that title. People still harping back, we're doing okay, we've won a league. Not good enough. Not good
No.
enough. I mean, the fact
Well,
that we've
sorry,
got probably
Wolf.
half of that starting team yesterday going out of contract this summer. Ridiculous.
Sorry, Wolf, but that's the same board who came out after we won that league title and went, now you push on. You don't stand still. You push on. That's what Stuart Robertson came out and said. He's clearly full of shit.
I know he did. As
Can I
somebody
just
else
say-
pointed out in the comments earlier on,
Can I just say, Wolf, my mate who I work with has got my lunch sorted for tomorrow, so I'm happy. Sorry, Wolf, carry on.
somebody pointed out in the comments and the chairman, they're not all men. Now, you don't need to be a football man to own and be in charge of a football club, but they're showing that they're not particularly good businessmen, because the way they're going, right, our season ticket renewals, it won't be far away, right? Now, all it takes is a disaster in the Scottish Cup, and the season ticket renewals are going to drop like a stone, because people will be like, I'm not paying that. Because how do you justify, right? I'm lucky, right? I'm lucky my missus likes football, right? So if I spend money on football, she's like, that's fine, crack on, mate, right? Well, how do you justify your missus who's not a football fan? Look, I need to spend 600 quid on a season ticket. When she goes, hold on, you're coming in every Saturday night saying that was rubbish, we're crap, we're this one, you're going to complain. I'm not letting you spend that money. There's going to be situations like that if we don't start winning things again. It's going to affect them. It's going to affect the business they run as Rangers Football Club as a business. You know what I mean? And they're not really showing up very well. I don't care if they're football men or not. As businessmen, they're obviously successful in the fields that they're in, but they're not. I mean, you've got John Bennett, right, deputy chairman, turns around to everybody and says, big Rangers fan. And I've met John Bennett. I've got no doubt he's a Rangers fan, right? He can't be happy sitting watching what he's watching, but he's sitting watching it. They're not coming out and saying anything. They're not facilitating the manager with the cash that he needs to bring in players, because we only brought in two in the window. You know what I mean? It's just the whole thing's
As a cash
seems to be
level,
going backwards. Well, that's the question. Is the cash there? If the cash isn't there, Kerr, right? As I understand things, right, Rangers at the moment are not in debt, right? We've held back. They've got £10 million held back, they tell us, for Tillman and Sands, ring fenced in case we want to sign them. Right? We're not going to be signing James Sands. I'd like to think we'll sign Malik Tillman. Whether he wants to actually sign or not is a different story, because turn around and say you can get to cup finals, but you're going to end up like that with a cupboard full of silver medals. He'll not be wanting that, right? So some of that 10 million has to be available for transfers. They built New Edmiston House. They're not in debt with that. They've paid for that. Right? That's paid for. That's Rangers. Rangers own that. It's not mortgage to a bank. That's paid for, right? So if they can find 11, 12, 15 million pound, whatever it was, to build New Edmiston House, they've got to find that again to rebuild the squad. And I don't care if it came out of John Bennett's pocket, or if it came out of Park's pocket, or if it came out of wherever it came from. They have to go back and find that money, because we need to rebuild this squad, and we need to rebuild this squad in a hurry in the summer. And it has to be at the start of the window. None of this bartering about the last day of the transfer window in August saying, okay, we'll take him because he's on a free transfer, or we'll get a wee cheap deal on him. Because by then we could be out of Europe or out of the Champions League reckoning, certainly. You know what I mean? We could be behind in the league. It needs sorted out at the start of the window. And the business basically needs to be done now. They need to be going, when the window opens in June, they basically need to be saying, as the first 2 weeks in June, there's 6 or 7 new players, and by the way, there's 6 or 7 players going. And it has to happen early. Otherwise, we're looking at this again next season. And that's not good enough.
Do you know what? Somebody made the point in the comments, and say what you want about Celtic, right? Say whatever you want about them. Honestly, go for it. But they get rid of shite players all the time. They get rid of them. I don't know how they do it. I don't know if it's mutual terminations or other clubs come in and give them peanuts. Celtic's squad, was it 2-3 years ago, was double the size of ours. They had about 745 midfielders. They've trimmed their squad down. They've got rid of players that were mints. They've went out and spent money and brought in players that fit their system and are good players. And now they're back in front of us again, Kerr. So, look, I've no doubt that this board in the beginning has done wonders for our football club. It genuinely has, right? They've come in, they've steadied the ship, they've kept it going. And see, when people say sack the board, right? You can't. That's impossible. You can't sack a board, right? Because they're in charge. You need somebody who wants to come in and take over from that board. Otherwise, see these sack the board things, I always go, why do people do that? It's so stupid. But as the board took his care as far as they can, do we need somebody else now to come in and go, right, here's whatever you want for the club, we're going to take it forward?
That'd be great, Martin, but who's going to come in?
Is that what we need? Is this current board care capable of taking us forward?
I don't know, Martin. They're businessmen at the end of the day, so they're never going to outspend their budget because they're businessmen. They're going to look after their purse string before they look after anything else. And that's why they brought Ross Holston. They say to him, you've got this amount to spend, and that includes probably wages, and don't go over that. And if you can get rid of any players in the process, then it'll get added to your budget for spending. So it's going to be a big summer for Rangers, but Ross Wilson's got the Beales, they've got to have a list of targets at this moment in time. They've got to be speaking to people who are going to be free in the summer. They've got to be making moves already. They can't wait. We can't wait. We see what's happened with how long it took to bring in Raskin and Campbell. Do you know what I mean? And that was two boys that wanted to come as well. How long did it take to bring them in? Maybe if they'd brought them in quicker, we wouldn't have that excuse to say they've only been here for a couple of weeks and they're not ready to play. So you can look at the board, you can look at Ross Wilson, you look at manager, like a team. Listen, Michael Beale deserves a chance because he's here now. We gave him the job. I would just angry with what he done yesterday, but I think he's going to trust himself more, and he's got to bring better players in. If he wants a chance at this club to win stuff, he's got to be ruthless, and he's got to say to the board and say to Ross Wilson, I need A, B, and C brought in, and I need A, B, C, D, E, F, G out. It doesn't matter if you're paying players off or you're letting players go, and sometimes you're going to have to take a hit with their wages. But there's no point. Players like Roof, I mean, we all know Kamara's a good player, but there's no point in playing once every blue moon. It's pointless. Hillender's the same. I mean, John Suter was the biggest signing waste ever because we all want him brought in, but he's hardly kicked a ball. I mean, it's probably not a large fault, but he's just we're for signing players who are injured constantly. So he's going to have to trim the squad down and go with guys that he can trust week in, week out. And there's a lot of players there he has to get. There's a lot of players there have been at Rangers far, far too long. A lot went stale. A lot past their sell-by date. And a lot who are very comfortable with getting beat. They don't care. They're very comfortable with us getting beat and just thinking, like, we'll have to improve in this. You can't keep saying the same thing every week. It's tiresome. And I can sit here and tell you, if I had a choice who to keep and the money was free, well, money wasn't free, but money was available to bring players in, I would keep Lawrence, Ridvan, Campbell, Raskin, Tillman, Davis and Golson. The rest, no. Kent, I would maybe bring back if he wanted to, but the rest of them, no. And that's a full squad of players. I'm not talking about maybe King, Devine and Lowry because I would keep them, but the rest of that squad I would get rid of. And that's me only left about 7 or 8 players. You're going to have to bring in a fair amount, but I don't.
And that's not going to happen in one transfer window.
It's not going to happen, Mark. No, that's me living in fantasy. But you keep going to the same players constantly. We need 2 fullbacks. I mean, I'm Tav's biggest fan, but we need 2 fullbacks. Tav's been here long enough, and I'm not going to say he doesn't deserve his Hall of Fame place because he does in my opinion. But we need 2 new fullbacks. We need a couple of midfielders. We'll keep Ryan Jack, but he wouldn't be a first team starter. But I'll keep Ryan Jack as a squad player. But we need somebody else midway apart. We need 2 new strikers, and we need a couple of keepers, and we just need. I mean, you get players like Matondo. What's Matondo up to? Nobody knows what Matondo doing. I mean, it didn't cost pennies. It cost about £3 million or something. Do you know what I mean?
And he's on a good wage as well.
Sakala, he's a hit and miss. We know that. There's so much wrong with that club.
Sakala simply is not Rangers quality. I know he's went on wee spells where he's went in a good wee scoring run or whatever against your Motherbulls, etc., etc. Seeing the big games when we really need him, Sakala's not good enough. He's just not good enough.
No. But Michael Beale is going to have to think, man. He's going to have to say to the board and say to Ross Wilson, I want this guy, and I want this guy. Ross Wilson's going to have his take in it as well. But they've got to come to a decision who they bring in. They just can't bring in players because they're maybe free or maybe they're cheap. They've got to bring in guys who will improve our side and want to come in and be hungry and win stuff, because there's no point in bringing anybody that's worse than we've got, which will be quite difficult to find at this moment in time right now.
Mark, is this a fair point for Andrew? You need to speculate to accumulate, right? That goes without saying. Right, of course you do. I don't care if they need to take out a business development loan. This is becoming a generational drought.
Yeah, I think that in the summer, I don't know if we're going to have the money to spend that I think we need. I really don't. I don't know if they're prepared to spend the type of money that I think gets us back on the road to where we should be. I think we've talked about this till we're blue in the face about the fact that we should have strengthened when we won the league. We all know that. We never done it. Now we're in a position where we're losing a lot of players out of contract. There's a lot of players that, as Wolf said, that we need to try and sell. And with our current form, you might not get 10 bob for them. But I think that the money that we're going to need to rebuild this squad is bigger than a lot is thinking about. I think that you're talking in the 20s anyway. I think to try and get us where we need to be. I think we've got a core, like Kerr said. Your Yilmaz, Cantwell, Raskin, Lowry, Lawrence. But there's no spine there. Realistically, you've got one piece of the spine, which is Raskin. Possibly Goldson at a shout. For me, I would like to bring somebody in that's going to be Goldson's going to be in the shadow, centre half wise. Davis has done well, but for me, we need a spine, and I don't think we've got a spine. I think that the term jellyfish comes to mind, especially against Celtic. You look at it, we lack leadership and we lack a spine in the park, and that doesn't come cheap. Really doesn't come cheap. Striker as well. I mean, we have been blessed with strikers over the years. We need a proper striker. They're no cheap. Proper striker is not cheap. And alright, you might get a wee gem. We want to watch with Alfie because we paid £1 million for him. But proper centre half, another centre mid to play alongside Raskin. And for me, two good strikers. And that's no cheap at all. And I've not even started. I'm sick to death of goalkeepers. But you're talking about 5, 6 million plus 7 million to try and get the class of goalkeeper that we need, that we're used to. Because we've sat in our hands for 4 years, and no done what we should be doing. If we'd have spent 4 or 5 million in a goalkeeper 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and then we could have spent 4 or 5 million in a central midfielder 2 years ago, and then this year we could have spent 4 or 5 million in a striker. That's what we should have been doing.
Mm-hmm.
What did we do? We never done any of that. What we done was we tried to get people in the cheap. We tried to get frees. It doesn't work. If you want to win things, that's not going to work. I don't know. As I said, for me, the amount of money that we need to spend to get our squad to where it needs to be, to where we're thinking we are challenging for every cup, leagues. We're giving them a fright when they come to Ibrox and we go to there. They're thinking, I don't fancy playing Rangers this weekend. When was the last time they done that? When was the last time they went like that? This Rangers team are right good side. They've got all sorts of good players in their side. I can't remember. So as I said, for me, you're talking serious money. I don't know what you guys think, but for me, I don't think we've got the money to do that. Spend that kind of serious money that we need.
I want to respond to Curry. He's saying, Martin, if I missed something, Sakala is not Rangers class. Every pod for the last 2.5 months, you've been saying that Sakala is the first name on the team sheet, so now he has a bad game and he's shite. I never said he was shite. I said he's not Rangers class. You can come into Rangers, Curry, and be good against Dundee United and Motherwell and Hamilton and Aberdeen and whoever else in the league. But he's not good enough when it really matters, Curry. He's not good enough. And it's not just him. It's not just him. If you think he's good enough, Curry, that's on you. He's not good enough for Rangers.
I think what we said, Martin, was
he's been the most informed, Kerr. He's been the most informed.
We haven't really got anybody down the right side for Ireland. We all thought, well, Sakala gives you 100%. He's been through a wee spell there, he was playing really well, scoring goals, and we thought, well, keep him playing at the moment until, because if not anybody, it's made that right side their own. And Fashion was doing okay, but if you want to make his team better, he's one of the ones that will have to go. You maybe get some money for him, but he's not going to be he shouldn't be a first team starter if you want to improve his side. It's not against Sakala, but we have to improve the team.
We do.
His finishing's awful. Yeah, his finishing is horrific. He's not alone. I mean, the midfield. I mean, Ryan Kent. I love Ryan Kent. He's good at what he does, but his finishing's awful. There was one yesterday with Kent in the first half when he ballooned it into the Celtic end. He ballooned it into the green brigade behind the goal. Squaring the ball across the box was what he had to do because he can't shoot. He can't finish. He can't. His shooting's awful. It's erratic. And then you've got Sakala's one in the second half, just before they scored the second goal, when Kent hit the post.
Effectively,
when it came back to Sakala, the one thing Sakala can't do is put out for a goal kick. The one thing it can't happen is it goes for a goal kick. He's either putting it in the net or somebody's getting in the way as it's going in towards the goal. And he stuck it in the side net. It was easier to score than do what he did. And he got it all completely wrong. That's what we're up against. Nobody's saying he's a bad player, but he's not the class that we need. I mean, go back to Mark's point about the money, right? When we won the title, the last title that we won, right? Celtic were a bin fire, an absolute bin fire. They brought in Postecoglou. They threw about £30 million at it. That's the sort of money we're going to need to be spending this summer. Yeah. And as Mark said, we haven't got that kind of money. We need to find that. They brought in players that nobody's ever heard of, but players that their manager trusted, and they're not world beaters. But he knows the job he wants them to do. They know the job he wants them to do. And if the first choice one doesn't fit, he puts the second choice one in because he puts square pegs in square holes. And I'm not trying to blow smoke up his arse because I don't think he's a particularly good manager, but he knows what he wants to do. He's got a system. He's got players to work to that system. He's got players to work to his system. We're trying to find a system for a hodgepodge of players that we've got, which isn't the manager's fault because he's been left with them. But it goes back to he brought in two players that he wanted. And he sat there for 65 minutes and watched the game drift away from him before he even called them on to action yesterday. And
it was too late.
That's a monumental error. Absolutely monumental error.
Right, well, we'll finish on this tonight. Okay, quick question to us. Does Tav deserve to be in the Hall of Fame with Laudrup? Right, now, for me, Tav's length of service, obviously helping us win a league title, etc., but his goals and assists and everything that he's done for the club, I've got absolutely zero issue with Tav being in the Hall of Fame, Care, right? No issue with it at all. Other people might, and that's absolutely fine, right? Everybody's entitled to their opinion. That's what this is for, people's opinions, right? You do not put a current player in the Hall of Fame. That's just setting you up for that player majorly getting criticised. So he's got horrible records in cup finals. He's got horrible records in terms of winning the league, right? But the minute they put him in that Hall of Fame, if the shit hit the fan yesterday, which it did, the criticism was going to double on top of him.
No, I agree with you. I probably should have waited till he retired and come back and done it, but I could maybe Wolf will answer. Should Barry Ferguson on the Hall of Fame when he's still playing?
No,
I don't know.
The only ones previous, the last Hall of Fame before last week's was 2014. 2014.
Barry Ferguson
David Weir was put in when he still playing. No,
I don't know.
No, it was David Weir was the first player that was inducted while he was still at the club, and Lee McCulloch. They were in while they were still playing. I said that you should not go in. I mean, I was at the Hall of Fame dinner. I was lucky enough to be at the Hall of Fame dinner last week, and it was a cracking night, right? My only criticism of it was the three players are all current players. I can understand. I expect him because, let's be honest, he's probably played his last game for us. Likewise, McGregor, but again, current player still playing. Shouldn't be. I've got no issue with any of the three of them being in. None at all, because they all meet different criteria. Tavernier, it's length of service, amount of goals, contribution, all that sort of stuff. McGregor and Davis is what they've won over the two stints for the club and the length of service. You can't argue with them being in the Hall of Fame. And they're the only three from the current squad that should be anywhere near it. But they shouldn't be in it yet because they're still playing. Not just still playing for Rangers, but still playing. What happens if Tavernier leaves it? What happens if Tavernier leaves us in the summer? Right? Signs for somebody in England, comes back and knocks us out of Europe. That's a Hall of Fame. That's a Hall of Fame. Wait till his career's finished. Then put them in. You know what I mean? To last Monday's pod, I had a big rant about it last Monday on the pod because it was fresh then. I've got to answer the question. I've got no problem with Tav being there, but he shouldn't be there yet.
No, I agree with that.
You don't want to carry on that thought here because I know that you like to make a good, big, massive, powerful statement on
Honestly,
it.
everybody's got opinions about Tav, and listen, he's done for what we bought him for what he's contributed gold-wise. He get golden boot in the Europa League run. He scored a lot of goals for his. He's not won a lot of trophies, but that's not won him either. And even if he wasn't captain yesterday, I don't think it wouldn't have changed the result. The captaincy thing, I know that's a big issue to some folk, but I think you should have 11 captains in the team. But I can see where people are coming from. But no, I just feel he should have waited till the players were retired and then put them in. I agree with that issue. I don't think you should do it while they're still playing, but we've all got different opinions. And if he's there, he's there. It's up to I don't know, who is it picks it, the Border Rangers, or is it?
I don't even know. I really should know, but I don't.
No idea.
Right. Final question, Mark, and then we'll let everybody go because no doubt people are fed up listening to us rabble on. What does Beale need to do then from now until the end of the season? How does he get a bit of... I don't want to say his reputation's gone. That's not fair. Look, it was a horrific game. He made a lot of mistakes. But I'm still with Beale. Most Rangers fans are still with Beale. We're just hurting right now. But what does the manager need to do in that between now and the end of the season?
Just firstly, you need to remember as well, and as I said, no often I'm the voice of reason, but you need to remember he's new to this game, and he's not new to football, but he's new to being a manager, and he's going to make mistakes. All our respective jobs or professions, we never come straight in the door, and we never made any mistakes. We always made mistakes, and he's going to make mistakes. The problem is that his mistakes are public, and everybody's seen his mistakes. We might get away with it at our work, but it's a learning curve for him as well. I know it's maybe not acceptable for us, but remember as well, Rangers fans, we're all bipolar. Because do you know what? See if he wins the next 5-6 games, 6-7-0, he's the second coming of the Messiah. So
No, I disagree.
I know, but what I'm saying is, what I'm saying is that we need to kind of take this in the chin. We're no good enough. But as I said, my point earlier, this team's no good enough. So I think what we do is, or what Beale does is, the rest of this season, I think by now he realises who he can trust and who he can't trust. And I think that he's had a proper kick in the balls with the game yesterday. So I think that he needs to. I know it's a cliche, but he needs to learn for that. I think he will. I think he knows that the likes of Kamara not interested, and whether he likes Kamara or Kamara's, he's not getting a tune for him, and it's as simple as that. He's flogging a dead horse there. So I think what he needs to do is he needs to figure out who's with him and who's going to be with him moving forward, and that's the team that he plays, as far as I'm concerned. And do you know what? I'd be quite happy with that as long as the odd hiccup and the odd bump in the road. Look, the season's gone as far as I'm concerned. I know that this might be, well, Celtic-minded pals might be taking a wee screenshot of that or taking a wee section of that and having a laugh about it. I couldn't care less. Let's call a spade a spade. We need to build for next year. We need to start now, looking at what we're doing in the future. We can't be wasting our time with people that don't want to be here or people that can't get themselves up to play for our great club. Simple as that. Morelos, if you want to play for us, go like that. Right, do you know what? I'll take a wage cut. I'll stay. Where's this contract? Let me sign it. Zach McKen, I want to stay. Great club. I want to play here. I want to be part of Michael Beale's vision going forward. Where's that contract? Let me sign it. If you're not interested, like I said, I know they're great players. I know they're good players. I know that it might hinder us moving forward, but we can't just keep hanging our hat on these players, knowing that come the summer they're just like, right, I'm off. I'm away to Barbados, and I'll get my agent to try and organise an extra 20 or 30 grand somewhere because I'm going on a free. For me, he needs to build and he needs to look to the future, and I think that's what we all need to do. I think that we know we've said that we're blue in the face. Youth, we need to bring youth in and start trying these young players and bringing the youth into this squad. For me, if you can blood a couple of youth players properly from now till the end of the season, then why not? Why not? As I said, I know that kind of sticks in my wick that we're saying maybe not get anything to play for. All right, there's a Scottish Cup there, but it needs to look to the future, and that's the big point. I know I'm rambling and talking pish, but as I said, it needs to look to the future. That's the only thing it can do is look to the future. So the dead wood, no get shot at them because you can't, but sit them on the fucking bench. If they're not wanting to play for us and they're not willing to pull their socks up and show a bit of blood and guts and do what we would do as fans playing for our club, then sit them on the bench. I couldn't care less. But it needs to look to the future, and that's the biggest thing I can
fucking
take.
stand.
Aye,
Nah.
100%. I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Yes.
Beale's got to win the Scottish Cup. Does he win the Scottish Cup, then he's
Right.
under massive pressure. He has to win the Scottish Cup, and that's what he has to look. That's what he has to focus on: winning a trophy. He's got one chance left.
Do you think, Kerr, and we really do have to go, right? But I'll ask this anyway. Just before I ask it, if this is your first time watching, please give the show a wee like, and if you like it, subscribe. Subscribing's absolutely 100% free. Just click that subscribe button below, and if you've watched it a few times and you really enjoy the content and you fancy helping to support the channel, then you can by joining our Patreon. The link for that is in the description. Right, this is genuinely the final question. In fact, two questions, one very quickly. Wolf, is there a women's show tonight at 9:30?
You've probably seen, I've just sent out a WhatsApp making sure the other two are available. I'm free for it. As far as I'm concerned, it's happening. I need to wait to hear from Brian and Kerr, but yeah, it should be on.
Right, cool. And Davy's saying there's only 11 likes.
Can't even not Kerr. Kerr knows nothing about it.
Yeah, you've got Kerr in the brain. Kerr in the brain. Davy's saying there's only 11 likes. Come on, guys, get liking it, because the more you like, the more it shares the podcast around, the more people get to watch it. So please do hit that like button. Kerr, final question. As soon as you're finished talking, we're going to leave the good people watching to get on with the rest of our Monday night. You're saying there that Beale has to win the Scottish Cup.
Mm-hmm.
Is it this performance and result in the way that we've lost this League Cup final? Has that ramped up the pressure on him?
Yeah, he has to win the Scottish Cup. If he doesn't win the Scottish Cup and then he starts next season and we lose the first Old Firm game and we're points behind him, he's in a shaky peg. You don't get a lot of time at a club like Rangers. Don't get a lot of time at any big club, but especially at Rangers. We're chasing at the moment because Celtic are run better than us. They've got a better team than us, so we're chasing. So he has to win something. Like Wolf said earlier, they won the treble. They're only one trophy behind their total, and that's not good enough for a club like us. But he has to win something. He's came through the door, yes, been halfway through a season, but we lost yesterday very badly. So he's got to win the Scottish Cup. But at least he has to get to the final. If he doesn't get to the final, that's even worse, but he has to try and win the Scottish Cup. And then he has to start next season, hopefully afresh with new players, but he has to move forward. He can't keep going back. We've stagnated enough, Martin. This team's stagnated probably since we won the league. We'll be going about 55, we're going about Europa League. I'm fed up listening about it. I'm actually stick to the back teeth. I listen about 55. We have to move forward. We can't keep going back. We have to move forward, but the manager's got to as well. But he will have to be careful, because unless he knows who's coming in and how much money he's got to deal with, some of these players are going to be here next season. So he can't alienate them too much, because he's got to get them to play for him as well.
And Rangers on tour, I'm not bringing that comment up because we really do have to go now. Can I just say a big massive thank you to everybody who's tuned in? A lot more people tuned in tonight, obviously, because there's a lot more people raging. So thank you so much for tuning in. Please do like and subscribe. Our brand new episode 2 of our Legends series is all about Ali McCoist, and that is out tomorrow at midday over on our Patreon. We'll be back on YouTube on Friday night. For what will hopefully be a phone in. I think I might be on there to getting it sorted. So the phone in will hopefully be back. Just a massive thank you to Wilf, Mark, and Kerr for what was obviously a difficult show for us all. Thank you to everybody watching. Thank you to everybody in the comments, the super chats, people who have signed up, people who are helping support us. It's greatly, greatly appreciated. Thank you, and good night.